actually today we're going into the second aspect and our second sort of question around this theme, around how should Scotland change how it uses its land to tackle the climate emergency in an effective and fair way. And these things are going to be intrinsically linked. We know from the conversations we were hearing yesterday and some of the presentations we heard yesterday afternoon about that diet and how, what we eat intrinsically links very closely to how we use land in Scotland and how that farming and arable land is used to actually be able to produce some of the food that we might want to consume. So what we're looking at today, we're going to do a few things today. We're going to start by really looking at that land use aspect, and particularly in relation to the food that we eat. So in relation to diet. But later on today, we're going to be looking a bit at what is the process for the Assembly as a whole actually developing recommendations, because I know we've been talking right since day one that actually, we're here. The Assembly's purpose is to actually create recommendations that are going to go in the report to Parliament. And I know some of you have been really keen to jump straight into well, these are the things we need to do, and that makes sense. But today we're going to talk through that process and actually begin the process of really starting to develop what are our recommendations as an Assembly going to be in our report to Parliament. So I think we're going to jump into it pretty quickly, but just to say we've got a couple of people with us who you'll recognise and are going to be joining the conversations. Again, we have Pete here as our evidence lead, who's going to be going on the journey with us. So can I invite Pete just to say hi?
Hello, welcome back. Looking forward to working with you today.
Great. And we've also got Josh, our convener, here with us as well. So Josh, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. Great to be with you again today. Look forward to joining in the conversations again.
Yeah, so Josh will be joining the groups. And again, he's there not really to sort of participate in the conversation, but very much just to be, so that he can do his role of being there to support members, being there alongside the members on the journey, and also being able to speak more publicly on behalf of members as we move forward. So he's there just to follow the conversations and to listen in. And yeah, so for today, we're going to start looking at the second aspect of diet in terms of land use. When we come to the afternoon, though, and that will be the last set of evidence that we really hear this weekend. And in the afternoon, we're going to come back and have that time to step back and actually go, okay, thinking about all the things about diet that we talked about yesterday afternoon, and all the things around land use that we will talk about this morning. In the afternoon, we'll step back and have that opportunity to go, okay, what does this actually all mean? So all the work you did yesterday afternoon will be coming back into the conversation this afternoon when we start talking about looking at recommendations. Just a reminder that as we go forward, and particularly as we start looking at different options, different choices, there's going to be disagreements. There's going to be people that actually, think one option is a fantastic way forward, and other people who think it might be not, it would just not fit with the way they want their world to be. This is okay. The reason you're all here is because you do have that real diverse set of opinions. So let them out, share them in your groups, but then once they're out on the table, let's see where we can find that common ground. So it's about finding ways of disagreeing with each other, which is perfectly healthy, but doing it in a way that still enables your group to have an effective conversation. And that's where we come back to things like the conversation guidelines, which are about, we're not all going to agree but we can agree to work well together and respect each other's opinions and listen to them. Because actually, there might be something in what someone's saying that although you may not agree with instantly, you go, well, actually, yeah, they've got a point there. Right? This is something I need to think about further. So, embrace the fact that we will disagree with each other, but actually that's a good thing, a healthy thing, and will enable us to have a really constructive and interesting and useful conversation as we work through today. So, before we get started really on that first lot of evidence, we're going to leap straight in this morning. You're going to be in your same groups, so we won't necessarily be giving you that time that we often give you to have that sort of first chat of just, oh, who am I working with, who's here. You'll be in the same groups as yesterday, which is great because you're able to continue that conversation on. So we're going to pretty much launch straight into some of our evidence now. And just a reminder, again, lots of information coming through this morning. So do try and have something on hand to be able to take notes, because there's lots of things there that hopefully you're going to need to refer back to when we get into that process of thinking about what do we do with all this information? How do we turn that into recommendations that are going to be fair and effective? So I'm going to hand over to Pete now, just to give us a bit of an introduction about what we're going to be looking at today and why we're looking at the topic of land use in relation to diet.
Okay.
And so over to Pete.
Okay, thanks, Kayla. So yesterday we were looking at diet, and obviously we mentioned that agriculture uses a lot of land in Scotland. So there's an interaction between the diets that we choose to eat and the agricultural production that supports that. And if you remember back to the first, to the last weekend, I mentioned that there are a bunch of nature-based solutions, things that we can do with the land that help to tackle climate change. So we're going to be looking at that in a bit more detail. And like yesterday, we're going to be getting different perspectives on that topic. So the first talk today is an introduction on how Scotland's land is used and how it can be used to tackle climate change. And it's by Amanda Thompson from the UK Centre for Ecology and Hydrology. And Amanda is instrumental in putting together the greenhouse gas inventory from the land and land use and forestry that the government uses and reports to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So a really important role in putting those numbers together from the UK. So Amanda will give the talk. It's a video. So Kayla, when you're ready, please roll the video. Thanks, Kayla. So after that fantastic overview by Amanda, we're now going to go to the second presentation, which is by Clive Mitchell from Nature Scot, which will look in a bit more detail at peatland and peatland restoration. So Kayla, run the video when you're ready.
Half an hour now, almost half an hour, to really focus in on, so what is the big challenge here? What is it that we're really trying to look at? How does this link to the things that we've heard about yesterday as well? So if I can ask the team to open up the breakout groups, and we'll see you back at 10:55. I can see people coming back, which is great. We'll just let all the rest of the breakout groups actually just close and get back in here. Hopefully you've had some interesting conversations. I know, we do have some of the people who are providing evidence are available. They're able to drop into the rooms and keep giving people, further clarification, more information is needed. So good to see that actually, your conversations are inviting them in and giving them a chance to give you a bit more detail about the things that have caught up to you. Okay, so that looks like we've got everyone back now, which is great. Hopefully you enjoyed those conversations and it's given you a starting point for where we are today. How do we link these ideas of some of the diet stuff that we were talking about last time to how land is used and where that can fit in this wider low carbon aim that we're going for. So we're now going to hear, as we did yesterday, these were our informant presentations earlier this morning, the ones who were sort of setting out the context. And now we're going to hear a bit more from 4 different presenters who are each kind of bringing a different perspective on how best the type of changes needed to how Scotland uses land can actually be delivered. So again, as with yesterday, we had the note-taking template that people have been sent. That's really the little kind of arc rainbow one, the one that's asking you to think about, you know, where do we position these types of demands for change, these types of activities that are going to lead to the types of changes that are needed to address some of these challenges, whether it's at the kind of individual and behaviour change, whether it's about at neighbourhoods and communities, whether actually change needs to be driven by government, whether it's driven by some of the other institutions, public services, or whether actually it's about a change that is about thinking about social norms, actually really changing that mindset of what as a society we expect. So hopefully people have those templates there and can use them as we go into the next round of conversation to really note down what are some of the specific things that people might be proposing, that people might be suggesting, the types of activities that actually, you know, grab your attention, that you think, I could see that this might work. I could really see that this might work. So, as I said, we're going to hear from 4 different presenters. Again, presenting different views, different perspectives on what might actually be the best way forward. So I'm now going to hand over to Pete to introduce the first of our presentations.
Thanks, Kayla. So the first presentation in this session, the first of 4, will be by Bruce Wilson from the Scottish Wildlife Trust. We'll be talking about how nature-based solutions can provide multiple benefits, including tackling climate change. So when you're ready, roll the video, please. Thanks, Kayla. So the second presentation will be by Mike Daniels from the John Muir Trust, and he's going to be giving a perspective from the John Muir Trust about how we manage our land in Scotland to help tackle climate change and other issues. So play the video when you're ready, please. Thanks, Kayla. So the third of our 4 video presentations in this session will be by Stephen Young from Scottish Land and Estate. We'll be giving this perspective of Scottish Land and Estate on the role of land in tackling climate change. So please roll the video when you're ready. A session of the evidence will be given by Callum MacLeod from Community Land Scotland. He'll suggest how land reform in Scotland can be used to tackle the climate emergency in ways that promote well-being of communities whilst delivering wider public benefits. So please, Kayla, roll the video when you're ready.
Hello. In the last series of presentations there, lots of interesting ideas, lots of suggestions of what could be done to move towards the type of change that we might be looking for Scotland. So although all the speeches there obviously were pre-recorded, most of our speakers are here as well. They're actually on the call with us and able to come in and give you more information or give you a bit more detail about some of the things they were talking about, if that's going to be useful to you when you're in your breakout groups. I won't see you again because you're going to be in breakout groups now until lunchtime, and I will see you when you come back. We're starting at 1:30 this afternoon. We'll finish up at 12 today and we'll start again at 1:30. So I look forward to seeing you all when you come back, and I hope you enjoy the conversations. You can open up the breakout rooms, please.